Hello, hello. So, we are going live again, twice in a day. So, doing this one a little bit earlier. Hopefully, all of you all are having a great day so far. Almost to the weekend. We're at Friday Junior. Super excited about today's live because we are going to go live with someone not from the United States. I feel like it's fun to do lives with people from different parts of the world. So let's see if we can get, and we will get started. Hello, hello. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're pretty much done with your day, right?
I'm done with my day. Yes, it's 9 p.m. here, so just sleep and go to work tomorrow.
Awesome. So how was your day so far?
I was pretty okay. I was at work all day, then did nothing basically, and now I'm here.
Now you're ready for the live.
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Well, I will let you introduce yourself so people know who you are, and then we can jump into a discussion.
Okay, okay. Hi, my name is Bertie. I'm from Germany, if you didn't know that. You know me probably from TikTok. There's my biggest platform, and now I'm here for the live.
Awesome. So, when it came to TikTok, is that something that you started during the pandemic, or were you a TikToker before the pandemic started?
No, I started 2 years ago, or like 1.5 year ago in like December, and just uploaded it for fun, basically. And yeah, now I'm here. Never
Now,
expected that it's going that well, but yeah.
so when it comes to, I know that with like different social media platforms, I know that when you're in different countries, like there's different algorithms and different things. So I know it's very popular here in the United States. When you get on TikTok, like, do you see a lot of American TikTokers, or do you kind of fall into like the German TikTok group over there?
So my basically my whole TikTok thing is in English. My most following are from the US or from England, Mexico, and Germany. But Germany is like the third country or something where I gain my followers more from the USA.
That's a lot of the people that I've gone live with from different countries are like, yeah, my biggest following is in the United States. I'm like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's awesome that like people in the United States are following content creators outside, because I think that that gives you like perspective sometimes of what's happening in the world outside of the United States, which I feel like our country is really good at kind of blinding us to what's going on in the world.
Yeah, I don't think in Germany that is happening because like we see news all over the world, like from Greece, Italy, Europe, USA. Not only the positive things, more like negative things, but I think we get a lot of perspective here in Germany, what is going on around the world. So the media is not blinding us for other countries, I would say.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice. But if you want to dive deeper, you need to research yourself.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to the information that is fed into the United States, there's like a funnel, and it like goes down to like this really small hole of what information we're like given of what's going on in the world. And if we want to know more, we have to do like intensive research into anything outside of like, I mean, right now, of course, a lot of the focus is what's going on in the Middle East, so a lot of people are kind of seeing that, but we still have to be aware that countries kind of filter the story as to what they think is appropriate or necessary to show its citizens versus the whole story that is probably a lot more information that we don't see.
Yeah, sure. But the thing that I can say is just if you're interested in the topic, research yourself. You cannot trust all times the medias. So go in it, go on Google, go on websites that have information that you want or that you need and research it yourself.
Yeah.
So you can be sure that that is going on and you're not blinded for any information.
Yeah,
That's basically how I do it.
yeah, I think that another like great thing is to just like be able to connect with other people around your age group that are experiencing life in the world at the same age as you are, just in different parts of the world, so that you can kind of get it from a perspective of someone that is living it versus the media or the internet, which can give you whatever story you want to find. I think that it's kind of cool to, I mean, since my platform grew and went internationally, like one of my favorite things is just kind of talking to people and learning about how they see things. Because I know since Clubhouse became a thing, hearing people's ideas and opinions of the United States and how things are going down over here is always very interesting because there are times where I feel like I need to clear things up and give people a little bit more information than they might have gotten through their own media or social media platforms in other countries.
Yeah, sure. That is true. And
So,
I like it to talk to people all around the world. I mean, that's basically the thing why social media is impactful, I think, because you can connect with other people around the world. My parents didn't have the opportunity to just say, okay, I write my friend from France or I write a friend from the US or something like that. And I think it's a good thing and we should use it more.
yeah. I know that you and I were talking yesterday about how when it comes to the way certain countries do things and the things that work in certain countries and how other countries maybe try to adapt certain things into their culture or into their economy. And also when it comes to other larger countries that are going into other countries to, we like to say, help. I'm not 100% sure it's the most helpful every single time, but I think that it's important to realize that we can communicate with each other and talk about things that we're doing in each country successfully. And then we would have to step back and try to figure out how that can be done in our country in a way that fits and not like jamming that puzzle piece in, trying to make something that works in another country forced to work in ours.
Yeah, not every culture is the same, not every person is the same. You need to basically need to do it individually, I think. Because like we in the LGBTQ community, we are so many people and not everyone is the same. We have some of the same stories maybe, but not our mental health is the same, not our living conditions are the same. So you need to provide so many information and try to get a good chunk of it to help other people, I think. So yeah, that is very true
Yeah,
because you cannot,
I always
it's
tell
not
people
working.
be careful when it comes to giving advice to LGBT people in other parts of the world because something that might work really well for us here in the United States could put someone's life in jeopardy in a third world country where it's against the law to be part of the LGBT community. And I think it's really hard for people to really wrap their mind around the fact that, like, when you live in a country where your government does not protect your rights, where you aren't looked at as a person and you aren't a loss when your life is taken from you because to them like LGBT is lesser than. And here in the United States we still feel an impact of what it means to be lesser than or looked at like we're different and othered, but to be in a position where not even your government makes you feel safe when it comes to being who you are, like that's a completely different aspect. And I think that it's important
Yeah.
for people to see that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I live in a very small town in Bavaria, like I said yesterday, so I'm not the norm here and I get weird looks sometimes. But I think in Germany, it's not out of the spectrum, if you know what I mean. So we get protected, and basically it's a whole other thing when you live like in the Middle East or in other countries that don't protect you. But I think Germany is a pretty safe place for us to be. So I don't have any doubt to say I'm proud and I'm out and about. And I try to live my best life here.
So when it comes to the fight for equality for the LGBT community in Germany, what what is like some of the stuff that you all have had to overcome as an LGBT community over there? Because I know that I think it's been 8 years now since we won marriage equality, but here we're still fighting for a lot of rights when it comes to adoption, when it comes to healthcare for people in the trans community, when it comes to rights in general for the trans community as a whole. How are you all kind of in that process right now when it comes to like being treated just like everyone else?
So I think like 10 or 12 years ago, it wasn't the same. We have like a party that's pretty big. It's more on the right side of the spectrum. They're not really right, but more of the right side. And they voted against the trans self-esteem thing. But I think we move pretty fast in the right direction here in Germany, because the whole citizenship in Germany is pretty open about it. And sure, you have people that are against it, but most of the younger people and like the middle-aged people have no problem with it. So I think we move in the right direction.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've seen some countries, I know that some countries are starting to reverse their stuff for the LGBT community, which is a little scary to see. I know that the UK was experiencing some very right-winged political figures stepping up into power and removing some equality, which is kind of sad to see. And then, of course, we've seen the LGB group, which removed the trans letter from their group and saying that the trans community isn't part of the community. And that was really sad to see as well out there. I know that
What I don't get, I mean, we fight for equality. So every person has the same rights. So we can fight for everyone and not only for ourselves. That is a big thing that I think, because other people fight for me, why can't I fight for them? So I don't get that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the nice thing about the LGBTQIA plus community is we make up every single community that exists in the entire world. Like, we are every gender, we are every race, we are every, like, there's not something that our community isn't a part of. So, like, when you fight for equality for the whole community, there's no way you can leave anyone out and say that you're actually fighting for equality, because to fight for our equality means we fight for everyone's, because we
Everyone.
exist
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, that is what I think. Fight for everyone, not only for yourself, because other people need it more, almost sometimes more than we do. So let everyone live a happy life and don't get angry about everything, because that's what in the internet is pretty good at, to get angry at a lot of things that you don't need to get angry of.
Yeah, I I definitely say that the internet can be used as a tool or a weapon. So like,
Yeah,
you want to use it to spread knowledge and educate people and fight for equality, do it. But be aware that there's people out there that are using it to do the opposite. And I've learned to just block those people out. A lot of those people aren't worth trying to educate, because they are not listening to what you're saying. They're just being trolls and just trying to cause chaos. And my energy can be spent helping people instead of yelling at someone who's got earplugs in.
yeah, I don't do that. So most of my comments, I need to say most of my comments are very positive. I don't get a lot of hate or a lot of things that trigger me. But it's the thing, if you get one negative comment, you're basically more to jump on it than when you get good comments. But I try to block them out. I don't want to respond to them. I don't want to give them the exposure, because like the algorithm is like working. You give them exposure and they get more exposure, and so on and so on. So I just try to ignore it basically. And I think that's the right thing to do. Before you write a hate comment under a video that you don't like, just scroll it away. Don't give them exposure. It's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, I that's like something I've been trying to tell people every single day of my life, because like, people are so quick to like thumbs down and comment how much they dislike or disagree with a comment. And I'm like, you're literally blowing this person to the top, and you're literally like, there are people that are getting paid now to have talk shows and stuff about how much they hate our community because the LGBT community raised them to the top so that people would pay them to do that. And I'm like, silence them by not paying any attention to them. If they comment something, delete it on your platform if you have the ability to, because even if your fans or people that follow you start commenting and sharing it, it's still boosting that hate to a point where they can become successful hate people. And I don't think that that's any way that you want to lead into the future with tons and tons of people getting paid to be hateful.
Yeah, stay positive. Don't comment under their videos. Don't just block them. Just block them. You'd never see them again, and problem is solved. That's my thing. How I handle my social media. Um, yeah, basically, I think that's the best thing you can do.
So I know that for me, these positive talks started because we were in the middle of a pandemic. We were here in the United States dealing with the 2020 elections. We also had a lot of movements going on fighting for equality and to be noticed here in the United States. But I know that this pandemic was a global thing. Like everyone in the world was dealing with it. How did Germany kind of handle the pandemic? Because I know Italy was the first kind of European nation to kind of be hit hard, but it spread pretty quickly. It made its way to Germany pretty quickly after Italy got
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah, we had a lot of cases in Germany as well, like everywhere around the world, I think. So I think we handled it pretty well. Sure, it was not the best thing ever how they handled it, but I personally think they handled it pretty well. We had lockdown, then no lockdown, then lockdown, then no lockdown, then lockdown, then no lockdown. And we had like restrictions, how many people you can meet or something like that. Now it's pretty okay, I think. I personally am vaccinated. Now is the thing in Germany, the two Gs we call it. It's if you're vaccinated or if you're tested, then you can do basically what you want. You can go eat to a restaurant. You can go. Austria has a festival today, and so on and so on. Now is the debate from the guys that don't want to get vaccinated because our government says we don't want to pay the tests anymore. Um, and yeah, it's the hot phase in Germany, I would say, to try to get everyone together, but I don't know if this is working because we have a lot of people that says we don't want to get vaccinated because we don't have the perspective what is long term. I mean, I kind of understand it. I personally am vaccinated and I will give it away. Please go vaccinate because you save maybe your life and you can save other lives because if you lay in bed in the hospital and somebody else needs the bed and can't get in the hospital because he has like cancer or something else, then it's not good in my perspective. And so I say, please get vaccinated. And yeah, Germany is on a critical point at the moment. Like, I don't know in which direction it will go. And the economics are down as well, for sure, because like all the stores are closed, all the bars are closed. But we are in the right direction to get it up.
Yeah, I know that here in the United States, one of the things that has gotten really bad here is we've politicized everything. So it's almost not like, do you want to be vaccinated or do you not want to be vaccinated? It's, are you a liberal or are you a Republican? And it's almost like they have politicized science to where, like, if you believe, like, if you follow a certain political party, then you have to believe this. And if you follow the other one, you have to believe that. And I feel like that's almost created a like rift in believing science over what other people might be saying. I think that I I understood that people were scared because it was a rushed vaccine. That I
Yeah.
mean, but at this point, we have to step past the fear and listen to people who are educated, and scientists and doctors are those people. A lot of the people making arguments against the vaccinations are not professionals or don't have degrees in that area, because, I mean, you do enough research and you know this medication and vaccination, like science, has been something that we've been working on for years and years and years and years and years. Uh, Thankfully, that science existed so that we could create the vaccine fast enough. Because, I mean, had none of that research been done for all the previous COVIDs that existed before this one hit, because COVID-19 is its own variant of a
Yeah.
virus that has existed for generations. It's not a new one. But I think that it's important for people to realize, and I know that in different parts of the world, vaccinations were being held and given out at different rates. I know the United States was pretty quick because our pharmaceutical companies, most of them are located within our country. And I know that we talked yesterday, and you said that you got the Johnson and Johnson, but
Yeah, I got Johnson and
um,
Johnson.
there were other vaccinations out there, or vaccines, that I hadn't heard of that you all had. That's not what we have here in the United States. How quickly did Germany start getting people vaccinated compared to like the United States?
I mean, they tried. It was kind of a shit show a little bit because we got the vaccine, then they weren't cool enough, and then this was not happening. You waited for a long time when you're a young, healthy person. I mean, the elderly persons, sick persons weren't getting vaccinated very fast. But for the open public, it was a little bit not that easy. I personally got the vaccine because a good friend of mine, the neighbor, was a doctor and he had vaccines for open public to give. So I got it from there, and it was not that fast, I guess. They tried to do it the correct way, but they didn't handle it very well in the organization. Um, what you hear from the media and everything, and when you research it a little bit, it was like a long way to go in Germany.
Yeah.
And we banned AstraZeneca because like we had trouble with the vaccine, and like you said, Johnson and Johnson was banned in the US because of a few people died. And that was the thing here in Germany with AstraZeneca. We banned it because like 6 persons got side effects that were not that were lethal. And yeah, but after we got all that stuff okay, I think the open public could get vaccinated, and now we have more than enough vaccinations to get a good chunk of the people vaccinated. But yeah, like I said, some want to get the vaccine and some doesn't want to get the vaccine.
Yeah. I mean, here in the United States, we have one that is now FDA approved. So that means that I think we're moving towards, since it is now FDA approved, meaning companies can now say, like, hey, like, to work here, you need to be vaccinated. Because, like, with all other vaccinations, that, like, going to public schools, you have to be vaccinated for certain things. And I think that getting FDA approval for a vaccination for COVID is definitely going to help move us in the right direction. I think Johnson and Johnson is back full force here in the United States. They worked out whatever was the issue there, but I think that it's very interesting to know like other countries and how they're kind of going through that. Because in the beginning, I remember seeing how absurd it was that some parts of our country were given so many vaccinations that they were having to throw them out because they don't last forever. They can't stay out in like normal temperature and go back to being cold to normal temperature. And we had a few doctors that were like fired because they were giving out vaccinations to people that didn't hit the criteria at that time. But I think it was May when we opened it up to everyone. And that's when I got vaccinated, was when the United States was like, now everyone who wants it can have it. And that's when things kind of, we had doctors, vets, dentists, we had like anyone that was capable of giving out a vaccination, out giving them at pharmacies, locations where anyone could come safely and get the vaccination. So I think that we're going in the right direction. We've just got to get through to the people who don't want to get it, because seeing the next variant coming through is a little scary, and I hope it doesn't impact us as harsh as the first one.
Yeah, you cannot do that in Germany. So you cannot fire a person because he's not vaccinated. That's not on debate in Germany. Um, I don't know if I would think that is the right decision. I think people need to make their own moves to get vaccinated. And I hope at some day people will understand that it's important to try to save you and save others.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at other like global pandemics that existed, I mean, polio was something that was really intense decades ago. And I think that the reason that didn't exist anymore was because the vaccination of polio and people getting rid of it. And I think that it's really important for people to trust science. And I think that if we can remove the political aspect of it, I think that that will make things a lot better. I think that removing political aspects of everything would be a lot better, because even being gay in the United States or in the world right now is a political statement, which I think is sad, that you can't just be gay and live your life, but it happens. And when it comes to kind of being an influencer on your platforms, how do you kind of promote a better future, or how do you kind of use your platform to kind of like make the world a better place on a regular basis?
I mean, I say all the time in my live streams on TikTok that I want to make people laugh. I want to make people happy, and even if it's only one people that see my video and smile for the day, it's worth it. Um, I'm not really a political influencer or something. I do my videos, I do them for fun. I have fun to do them, and I think a lot of people have fun to watch me. So that is basically my thing, and I like it how I do it, because to make people happy, it's all about. I mean, we're on the world to live a happy life, and I want to promote that a little bit. Sure, I have rough days as well. That's not the question, I guess.
Yeah, I think everyone has that, and I think that we've gotten to a day and age where people are more open about their mental health and like their daily struggles, because I think the generation before us was taught to conceal that information and look perfect, look like you're happy all the time. And I think that our generation is like, hey, like that's too much. Like I'm gonna tell people if I'm having a rough day, and I think that that's important for people to do.
Yeah, somebody in the comments asked me if I had side effects from J&J vaccination. Yes, I had a little bit of side effects, but I'm a grown man, and I think everyone can go through it. So if you feel 1 day or 2 days a little bit off, I think that's worth it.
Yeah, I had a few side effects as well. Like my second shot, I very much hydrated myself because I was moving that weekend. So I just researched like the best way to minimize side effects, and just being extremely hydrated and like eating healthy food and just keeping your body in the best shape at that moment. And I experienced like minor headaches, which I got those with the first shot as well. But I think that for the most part, you can kind of combat that with just being healthy around getting that
Yeah,
shot as well.
yeah.
So I one thing that I think that is really interesting in today's world, like when you look at history, when you think about like the relationships countries have shared, when we like are taught world history as kids and growing up, uh, you always kind of look at countries and their people as a whole based upon the leadership and the wars and everything that's going on. But in today's world, I feel like we are so connected as like a social platform now. So like when people talk about, oh, this country is doing this, like my brain automatically goes to all my friends that I have in that country. And I think that we too often group everyone as one thing. I think that a lot of times, like if you're looking at the United States last year, we didn't make ourselves look too pretty when it came to what was happening politically across our country. But when it comes to kind of building those ties with people around the world, how have you kind of navigated through like the stereotypes that are placed upon citizens of different countries?
I don't stereotype because I don't like it. I need to see the person, and even it's a fit for me or it's no fit for me. But I don't think stereotypes in this world are very working because, like I said, everyone is different. Everyone has other opinions. Everyone has another background. Everyone has another, I don't know. Everything is different. So you cannot stereotype in this world. So, like, the stereotype for you guys in Germany is like you have no clue about culture in Europe, or you have no clue what the main capitals are, or something like that. But I don't think that's true because I guess you have a very lot of people that know these things, but you see always the not the great examples because they're generating more clicks, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't stereotype very much. I want to see the person. I want to talk to the person. When it's a fit, then hey, let's talk longer or more. And it's when it's no fit, it's okay as well. Then we go our separate ways. I
Yeah.
guess that's how I handle the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that America as a whole, we could do a little bit better of understanding cultures outside of our country. I think that that's partially to blame on our educational systems not putting any of that really in there. Like when you go through world history here, we don't learn about cultures really. We learn about wars. We learn about terrorists and all of those types of things where maybe if you studied world religion, you get a little bit more in depth. Maybe if you study specific countries, like I know if you took a German class, to learn German, you also kind of got the history of Germany as well. But I also think the way it is taught here in the United States is very Americanized, meaning we take the history of Germany. Like, if you ask America about Germany, I think that most people's statement would probably be like Hitler would be the person that Americans would think of because other than that, we are not really taught a history of Germany.
Yeah, I guess we in Germany we learn a lot of other histories as well. We learn about like Van Gogh, we learn about like Mozart, we learn about like so many different people and so many different countries that we have a normal understanding what is going on, and what the culture is, a little bit at least. So it depends on which school you go because we in Germany have like three schools. After the fourth year, you need to decide if you want to go in the lower school, in the middle school, or in the higher school. And in the higher school, you learn in about the art class, about history. You learn history as well. You learn so much information about other countries. And I think that's important as well because like it's a thing that you need to know a little bit at least. I personally think so.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday we talked about the like euro and the fact that when it comes to its worth, uh, understanding the economy of all the
Yeah.
countries that you are also connected to and how that can impact Germany's success as a industrial country. And I think that when it comes to taking a bigger understanding that, because I feel like almost here in the United States, we have that mindset of we make the choices and therefore everyone else must follow. And I think that that can be a very toxic way of thinking because even a choice that another country in Germany or another country in Europe makes does impact the United States in a way that I don't think a lot of people have educated themselves to understand. And I see the comment there that says it's 50-50 when it comes to you can teach yourself. I've learned that if no one brings it up, like if you never knew a name, you would never know to research it to teach yourself more. And I don't think a lot of people in the world are taught to do more than what is taught. Like if your teachers say, hey, there was this group of people, we are not going to cover a lot of it, but I want you to know they exist, then you at least know they exist and you can go find more information. But if you were never given anything, you don't know how to search for it because, I mean, there's millions and millions and millions of lives that have come and gone that we could probably learn from if we knew that they existed.
True. That's true. I mean, you can stumble across it in the internet for sure, but if you don't know what to research, or if you're not really a person that is really, really, really interested in that kind of topic, you need to have at least like, hey guys, that exists. You can look it up if you want to.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to, that's fine as well. Then don't do it. But sometimes you need a little bit of the hint. Come on, look it up.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to make a statement online about something, I think you should take the time to research and educate yourself on the topic
For
you are
sure.
choosing
Yeah.
to make a statement about. If you're going to live your life blissfully dancing around in the trees and just living your life, there's no need for you to do all that research because you're not making a statement about that. But if you're going to make statements, do your research because there's just so much. And don't just search one website and just accept that as reality and the true answer, because that you need to find multiple sources, make sure that they're sources that can be accountable, because there are so many things that are just made and put on the internet to like confuse and mislead people.
Yeah, you need to pick up your information from very different resources because not every resource or resources are biased at some point. So you need to have another viewpoint as well. So go on more websites than one and pick your information that you need. I would give the same advice because it's the best thing you can do. And if you're interested in a topic, it shouldn't be that hard to try to Google search it or go on like university, college sites or something like that in the US, studies and take studies from resources that 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 are countable, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you have so many statistics on the internet that is just worthless because you don't know how many people got asked. Is that really what you need or what you do? Or that it's sometimes it's confusing, but go and pick trustful websites.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that everyone has biases, and you need to understand the bias that you're listening to and reading and understand why they have that bias, and then educate yourself past that. Because I personally see things that align with my values and the way that I think, but that's because my bias stands beside theirs. So therefore, I need to look past that and educate
Yeah.
myself around it and see both sides before I make a statement, because you can't call it an educated statement or a researched opinion if you haven't kind of looked at all sides of the matter that you're discussing.
Yeah, and then you're part of the problem as well because you go and put out information that's just wrong because you're biased and you put it out there and a lot of people see it and think, okay, then I guess this is what it meant. And I think that's very important to don't spread around lies or something. Educate yourself, try to get a topic that you're interested in. And if you're not interested in, that's fine as well. You don't need to believe everything that is on the internet.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that your English is like really, really good. I know that you are like oh, I don't know if my English is going to be good enough for a live, but I know that you said that when it comes to the area that you currently live in, not everyone speaks English. And when you go out and about, uh, you usually just speak German with everyone around you. So, what was the journey for you and other people in your country that speak English? Because I know that makes it helpful for me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I am as useful because I do only speak English. I took Spanish. I've tried to teach myself Italian, but then when the pandemic happened, my trip to Italy got canceled, so I stopped that teaching. So, what was your journey along learning English?
Yeah, that's the weird thing about it. I don't really know that if my English is that good or not. I really don't know it myself because, like, learn it since kindergarten. You get in kindergarten and you get taught the basics like one, two, three, four, five, and the weekdays. Then you go in the next grade, and you have your whole life English in Germany. Like I got 12 years of English only in school in Germany. And a lot of people, because we get the basics, and a lot of people stop there and never speak English again and don't learn it. And I try to stay on point because like my social media is on English and everything is on English. I watch a lot of TV series that helps me a lot with like the normal talking and how do I pronounce some words or something like that. So basically, my advice is if you have the basics done, go and watch the TV series, go and watch the movies, read something in English. It's basically how my English are staying okay, I guess. And yeah, you can, like in Germany, when you go in a higher class, you can learn a third language as well. It's either mostly Spanish, Latin, or French. And I had a little bit of French in like the service school that I got into. But I don't know anything about French. To be honest, I had it like for 1.5 years, but I don't know anything anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like you have it all the time in Germany. English is a very important language because half of the world speak English, and I guess if I would learn another language, it would be Spanish because half of the other world speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think that it's because here in the United States, a lot of schools that teach languages, it's Latin was one that some of my friends took, but German, Spanish, and French were usually the ones that people chose. And some schools that had bigger like language programs would add other languages as well, maybe like Mandarin or Russian, stuff like that. But for the most part, that starts like at a high school level for us. So usually starting around like the age of 15, 16 is when people start learning a language. And then for the most part, other than Spanish, unless you live in a specific area here in the United States that has a larger population of people that speak another language, we don't really have access to people who speak that language. So it does die pretty fast. And also, I found it very hard to actually find like when it comes to like our platforms like iTunes for music, like there are so many like German artists that I try to find, but I can't download the music on my iTunes because it's set up here in the United States. And it was very interesting that like because people would send me links on Instagram and they're like, listen to this, and it was a YouTube link, but when I clicked on it, it wouldn't open here in the United States. It's like there's a lot of blocks for people who are trying. I'm sure if I tried hard enough, like if I got a VPN and all of that stuff, I could do it. But it definitely doesn't seem like the United States sets up a culture to kind of learn and maintain a different language other than English here.
yeah, I guess it's the same in Germany. A lot of links don't work here because like it's only in certain countries you can watch it. But we have access to a lot of tools, I guess. Like I said, you can watch Netflix in English or Spanish or French. You can watch Disney Plus in English, French, or something else. Like it's not that hard for us to do something in English. We can read books that are in English. We can do almost everything with English. I mean, um, other countries or other languages are very hard to find here, but I guess we have a pretty good educational system when it comes to English, at least.
Yeah. If so, is that something that you like through school since you started in kindergarten that you just the whole time it was like you learned German and English all the way through? So it's like you're constantly being added like an English class into all your other classes, and those were taught in German. Like if you had a
Now you have a really specific English class, like it's like you have 4 hours a week or something that you only have English. Then you have a textbook in English, and it depends on the teacher if they say we only speak English in the class or they speak German and mix it with English. So it's a mix because our teachers have a very free hand how they do it and how they want to do it. And yeah, then we learn like the normal vocables, like what means cucumber in English, and then we write it down and try to get the words right, um, and read a lot of things in English. And but I think it's a good educational system for the language. But like I said, in Germany we don't speak it on a daily basis, so a lot of it gets lost in that perspective.
yeah, that's really cool. And I think that when it comes to being able to connect with other people, like I've definitely found that connecting with more people in the world makes me want to learn more, and I think that that's really fun. So when it comes to German culture, when it comes to like things that are going on in Germany, what are some things that you think the rest of the world should like know about that might interest people about Germany that people might not know about?
We have a beautiful landscape in Germany. I'm from Bavaria. We have a lot of lakes. We have a lot of nature here. We have a lot of wildlife here that we are trying to protect. And I think sometimes it's only you have the Oktoberfest, you have sausage, you have beer. I mean, we are pretty proud of our beer. I don't drink it because I don't like it. But a lot of people are very proud of the beer here. And I guess that's correct as well because we only use like four certain things to brew our beer, and you can't use anything else. But Germany is a very beautiful place. You have very beautiful cities, you have beautiful landscapes, and we are not always angry.
I love that. Yeah, I think that that is like one of the stereotypes that people kind of attach to Germany. And I think that's mainly because a lot of the films and things that they create when things happen in like Germany, it they do make them seem pretty angry.
Yeah, we're not really that angry. Come to Bavaria, we are pretty open persons. We let everybody in our culture and try to show people around. And you have a very, very beautiful people in Germany that try to make other people's lives a little bit better and try to get. I mean, we are very touristic here in my area, and come visit us, and we are not angry all the time, and we try to help you. Don't worry to ask a German anything. You can basically ask us anything, and nobody gets triggered from it.
Yeah. So another thing that I think is really cool about being in a European nation is the fact that you all are surrounded by other nations that it's just like different languages are spoke if you cross a border when it comes to that, but also like when it comes to you all being able to travel like around Europe, I think that the access that you have, because Germany has history that outdates the United States for sure, because our existence and our history didn't start until way after Germany's civilization was already well established. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't realize, because I live here in Virginia in the United States, so we're one of the earlier colonized states. Like, we have deeper history here than some of our Western states. And I think that it's really important to kind of realize that there's a lot of beautiful history within. And I just dove into a little bit of German history because I thought it'd be kind of cool to look, since we were going to go live. And it was stuff that I was just like, oh, I didn't ever, like, because like I said, we only learned about like the wars that happened, and that's the only time we ever heard Germany's name being brought up. And just to kind of see, because Germany wasn't always Germany. It's
No?
it was a lot of other things and broken off and split. And I think that
Yeah.
that's a lot of history to like unpack.
Yeah, like whole Europe is a lot of history, I guess. I mean, look at France with Versailles and the France Revelation. Go in the Nordic countries with Vikings or something like that that we see on TV shows. It was real. I mean, at a certain extent, but these people lived there and had very, very deep culture in it. Like Romania, Ungarn, Austria as well. We have a lot of history here in Europe, I guess. And like every country has their own history, good things, bad things, everything. I mean, you find everything here and you can learn a lot of it. We have beautiful architecture in Europe all around. We have like beautiful, like I said, beautiful landscapes. We have beautiful cities. And yeah, I guess the culture in Europe is very, very widespread and it's beautiful because every country has their own personal history.
So when it comes to our history here in the United States, a lot of times we'll start with like the Native American. We'll let people know that that's who originally owned this land. And then we start talking about like the explorers from other nations that started coming to the United States and discovering our country. How far back do you all go with like history of like Germany when it comes to like, do you start when it became Germany, or do you go back further where it was?
So we in Bavaria gone back further, like the Germanics, like very, very, very early history. But we don't get told a lot of it. It's just like we have a museum here, and we visited that with our school class and had a little bit of talking what was before Germany, what was before everything else. And then we go in German history. A big topic from our history classes are World War II as well. I mean, that's a thing that we will never get out of our history. And I think it needs to be taught because we don't want to make the same mistakes again. It's a good chunk of our history classes are World War II. But we go further back, we go in other nations, and it's good, I think.
Yeah, I it's always so interesting because like a lot of times when you think about history, the history that is told from the perspective of who gets to decide to write the history books. And a lot of times when it comes to wars, the history is told by the person who won the war. So like for us, American history, when we talk about like the world wars that happened, mostly on European grounds, it's very interesting to kind of talk to other people and hear like what the education system taught you all, about those different parts, because that's one thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is we're all kind of given different perspectives, and the only way that we can understand each other is to communicate the fact that we were taught something different and understand and try to piece together how we learned and what we learned from each side of the spectrum. Because I'm sure Germany would teach a lot more about the before the war happened and what happened after the war as well. Whereas the United States, we pick up where the war started, where we came into the war, and then kind of stop where the war ended. We didn't talk about Germany's history after it had to rebuild from that, because that war was very damaging to that country. Uh,
Yeah,
and I think that that's something that people can learn a lot about, because after the war, like, rebuilding happened and the country
sure.
changed.
Yeah, we looked at it as a very, like I said, neutral perspective in school. We get told how it become there. We get told what was after the war. We get told what was in between the war that many Americans maybe don't know. Like Sophie Scholl that tried to, it was the White Rose. It was a group here, a group that was against all this, or like Schindler's List. It's a movie that you can watch. I think many people don't know about it. That are some Germans were not in it, so we are not all in the wars. Many people fight it against it, and many people weren't good with it. What was going on, and we get told a lot of them too. So I think it's nice to educate yourself that not everyone was in it.
Yeah. I think that that's because I was trying to explain that to other people as well. Like, when it comes to history of right now, like, if they were to write what's happening in the United States during this time, like, Donald Trump was, he's going to be in our history books. Like, he existed at this time. Will my story be there? Probably not. So, like, people will assume and hear history and believe that the way that the country was run by our leaders is what everyone in that country believed and felt. But historically, there's always people who disagree with what's going on. There are always good people, bad people, people in between, people who are neutral, who don't involve themselves in it. And, like, I think those stories are just as fascinating as learning about the history of it, because even within that, like, here we had like the Black Lives Matter here recently, but that history has gone on for decades. And I went to the museum here in Washington, D.C., and found out that there was a lot of LGBT people marching in the parades with Martin Luther King to, like, end like racism here in the United States and fighting for equality. And one of his best friends was an LGBT person, and I was never taught that in history. Like, LGBT history, like, we existed, but the history books don't talk about us. And I think that that's kind of cool to realize that there were probably some pretty amazing people, like, making a lot of changes that, because it wasn't really part of the story of the war, like, for the most part, we don't hear about them, but those stories still do exist.
Yeah, and we in Germany try to get in the stories of their people as well. So we at least try to give a perspective that not everybody was the same.
Yeah. And I think I think the more you explore the world and connect with more people, I think that we start to notice that. Because I know when you hear news about a country, uh, it's easy to, like, kind of group everyone together. But when you actually start to make friends and connections all over the world, you start to realize, like, hey, like, don't make such a broad statement about the people that live there, because I have friends there and I know they don't think that way. And when you start to, like, look at history that way as well, you start to realize, like, hey, like, there are good people everywhere. Like, there's not a part of this planet that doesn't have good people. So be careful categorizing an entire country as bad people or angry people, like you all have there. I mean, I guess angry is a little bit better than what we get categorized here. Like, we United States is usually like fat and stupid is what our country is talked about as from other countries. So I guess angry isn't as bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the sausage is the typical thing as well, like pretzels everywhere. I mean, we have a lot of pretzels and we have a lot of sausages, but not everyone is eating everyday pretzels and sausages.
I mean, you have vegetarians over there, right?
Yeah, sure, we have vegans as well.
Awesome. Well, I see that we have come to the hour, and I know that it's later there for you. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for jumping on this live with me. I definitely enjoyed this conversation, And I'm looking forward to following you on TikTok because I didn't follow you there. I found you here on Instagram. But it was a pleasure talking to you, and I really enjoyed this conversation.
I say thank you as well. Thanks for having me, and I wish you guys a good day. And I go sleep now.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.